Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, thank you very much for this opportunity to speak a little bit on the Bhagavatam. So, we're reading from the first canto, the 16th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the title is How Parikshit Received the Age of Kali, and we're reading verses 26 through 30. Now, because we're reading 5 verses today in a very long and rich purport, with prior permission, I'm going to make some adjustments in the class to economize on time. Now, we're not going to miss anything, but we'll just economize a little bit. For example, my comment portion of the class is very short because I want the class to end on time. So here are the adjustments I'm going to make. My wife asked me, well, how much time will it take to explain the adjustments? In other words, how much time will I waste now? But anyway, it goes through quickly. So I'll read the Sanskrit of the first verse, which is verse 26, just 2 times. It's not difficult. And then I'll ask a maximum of 3 men and 3 ladies to please to chant it. And then I'll chant the Sanskrit of the next 4 verses on my own. And I'll then read the word-for-word synonyms on my own. And finally, I'll read the English translations of these 5 verses just 1 time. So please pay attention. So before I begin the Sanskrit, I heard that in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that in every syllable of the Srimad Bhagavatam, every syllable is fully imbued with pure Krishna prema, the highest love of God. So, please chant responsively. I'll just chant it twice. Satyang sochang daya chantis Tyagak santosha arjavam Samodamastapaksam Titiksho paratik shutam Satyang shochang daya chantis Tyagak santosha arjavam Shamodamastapaksam Titiksho paratik shutam. Satyam socham daya chanti Yaga santosha arjavam Shamodamastapaksam Diksho paritik sutam Satyam socham daya chantis Yaga santosha arjavam Tiksho paritik sutam Satyam socham daya chantis Yaga santosha arjavam Shamodamastapaksam Diksha paratik sudam. Ladies, please. Satyam sochang daya chantis Yagak santosha arjavam Samodamastapaksam Titiksho paratik srutam Satyam socham daya shantis Didiksho paradikshitam. Satyang shochang daya chantis. Yagat santosha. Dhammastabhak samyang. Didiksho dadikshitam. Now I shall read the next 4 verses. Dr. Brad, will you be able to follow? Because we're going to go a little quickly. Thank you very much. Jnanang viraktirishvaryang shauryam tejobalang smritihi swatantriyam koshalang kantir dhairyam mardavam evacha pragalbhyang prashayakshilang saha ojo balang bhagaha gambhiryang sthairyam astikyang kirtimano nahang kritihi Eti chanye cha bhagavan nitya yatra mahagunaha prartya mahattang ichchadbhir naviyanti smakarhichit tena hanguna patrena srinivasena sampratam shochami rahitang lokang papmana kalinekshitam. Now I shall read the word for word on my own. Again, I'll go rather quickly, but I will try to speak clearly. So please just listen. Satyam, truthfulness. Again, I'll read on my own. Just please listen. We want to economize time. Thanks for understanding. Satyam, truthfulness. Socham, cleanliness. Daya, intolerance of others' unhappiness. Chanti, self-control, even if there is cause of anger. Tyagak, magnanimity. Santoshak, self-satisfaction. Arjavang, straightforwardness. Shamak, fixing of the mind. Damak, control of the sense organs. Tapak, trueness to one's responsibility. Samyang, indiscrimination between friend and foe. Titiksha, tolerance of the offenses of others. Upariti, indifference to loss and gain. Srutam, following scriptural injunctions. Jnanam, knowledge, self-realization. Virakti, detachment from sense enjoyment. Aishvaryang, leadership. Shauryam, chivalry. Tejak, influence. Balam, to render possible that which is impossible. Smriti, to find one's proper duty. Svatantriyam, not to depend on others. Kaushalyam, dexterity in all activities. Kanti, beauty. Dhairyam, freedom from disturbance. Mardavam, kind-heartedness. Eva, thus. Cha, also. Pragalbhyang, ingenuity. Prashraya, gentility. Shilang, mannerliness. Saha, determination. Oja, perfect knowledge. Balam, proper execution. Bhaga, object of enjoyment. Gambhiryam, joyfulness. Stairyam, immovability. Astikyam, faithfulness. Kirti, fame. Manak, worthy of being worshipped. Anahankriti, pridelessness. Ete, all these. Cha anye, also many others. Cha, and. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Nitya, everlasting. Yatra, where. Mahaguna, great qualities. Prartyak, worthy to possess. Mahattvang, greatness. Ichchadbhi, those who desire to. Na, never. Viyanti, deteriorates. Sma, ever. Kadhichit, at any time. Tena, by him. Aham, myself. Guna patrena, the reservoir of all qualities. Sri, the goddess of fortune. Nivasena, by the resting place. Sampratam, very recently. Shochami, I am thinking of. Rahitam, bereft of. Lokam, planets. Papmana, by the store of all sins. Kalina, by Kali. Ikshitam, is seen. So I will read the translation. This is 5 verses. I shall read it just one time. Please try to pay attention. I will not read the numbers. Okay. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This is Mother Bhumi speaking to Dharma in the form of a bull. She's praising Lord Krishna, obviously. In him reside truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance of another's unhappiness, the power to control anger, self-satisfaction, straightforwardness, steadiness of mind, control of the sense organs, responsibility, equality, tolerance, equanimity, faithfulness, knowledge, absence of sense enjoyment, leadership, chivalry, influence, the power to make everything possible, the discharge of proper duty, complete independence, dexterity, fullness of all beauty, serenity, kind-heartedness, ingenuity, gentility, magnanimity, determination, perfection in all knowledge, proper execution, possession of all objects of enjoyment, joyfulness, immovability, fidelity, fame, worship, pridelessness, being as the personality of Godhead, eternity, and many other transcendental qualities which are eternally present and never to be separated from Him. That personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty, Lord Sri Krishna has now closed His transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth. In His absence, the age of Kali has spread its influence everywhere, so I am sorry to see this condition of existence. The purport, it's rich and it's long, and it's going to be an exercise in paying attention. It's about 9 minutes, but I can promise you this. If you can do your best to remain attentive for the next 9 minutes or so, at the end of the purport, I promise you will all be better devotees. And you will appreciate Krishna more, and you'll appreciate Prabhupada's depth of understanding even more. So, here we go. First, a little fuel. Purport. Even if it were possible to count the atoms after smashing the earth into powder, still it would not be possible to estimate the unfathomable transcendental qualities of the Lord. It is said that Lord Anantadev has tried to expound the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord with his numberless tongues, and that for numberless years together it has been impossible to estimate the qualities of the Lord. The above statement, and Prabhupada is referring to the translation, the above statement of the qualities of the Lord is just to estimate His qualities as far as a human being is able to see. But even if it is so, the above qualities can be divided into many subheadings. In other words, if the Lord had only 40 qualities, Prabhupada is saying that they can be divided into many subheadings. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the third quality, intolerance of another's unhappiness, can be subdivided into protection of the surrendered souls and well wishes for the devotees. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord states that He wants every soul to surrender unto Him only, and He assures everyone that if one does so, He will give protection from the reactions of all sins. Unsurrendered souls are not devotees of the Lord, and thus there is no particular protection for everyone in general. For the devotees He has all good wishes, and for those who are actually engaged in loving transcendental service of the Lord, He gives particular attention. He gives direction to such pure devotees to help them discharge their responsibilities on the path back to Godhead. By equality, number 10, the Lord is equally kind to everyone, as the sun is equal in distributing its rays over everyone. Yet there are many who are unable to take advantage of the sun's rays. Similarly, the Lord says that surrendering unto Him is the guarantee for all protection from Him. But unfortunate persons are unable to accept this proposition, and therefore they suffer from all material miseries. So even though the Lord is equally well-wishing to everyone, the unfortunate living beings due to bad association only is unable to accept His instructions in toto, and for this the Lord is never to be blamed. He is called the well-wisher of the devotees only. He appears to be partial to His devotees, but factually the matter rests on the living being to accept or reject equal treatment by the Lord. The Lord never deviates from his word of honor. When he gives assurance for protection, the promise is executed in all circumstances. It is the duty of the pure devotee to be fixed in the discharge of the duty entrusted to him by the Lord or the Lord's bona fide representative, the spiritual master. The rest is carried on by the Lord without a break. You with me? Are you with Prabhupada? Good. The responsibility of the Lord is also unique. The Lord has no responsibility because all his work is done by his different appointed energies. But still, he accepts voluntary responsibilities in displaying different roles in his transcendental pastimes. As a boy, he was playing the part of a cowboy. As the son of Nanda Maharaj, he discharged responsibility perfectly. Similarly, when he was playing the part of a Kshatriya as the son of Maharaj Vasudev, he displayed all the skill of a martially spirited Kshatriya. In almost all cases, the Kshatriya king has to secure a wife by fighting or kidnapping. This sort of behavior for a Kshatriya is praiseworthy in the sense that a Kshatriya must show his power of chivalry to his would-be wife, so that the daughter of a Kshatriya, meaning his would-be wife, can see the valor of her would-be husband. Even the personality of Godhead, Sri Rama, displayed such a spirit of chivalry during his marriage. He broke the strongest bow, called Haradhanur, and achieved the hand of Sita Devi, the mother of all opulence. The Kshatriya spirit is displayed during marriage festival, and there is nothing wrong in such fighting. Lord Sri Krishna discharged such responsibility fully because although he had more than 16,000 wives, in each and every case he fought like a chivalrous Kshatriya and thus secured a wife. To fight 16,000 times to secure 16,000 wives is certainly possible only for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, he displayed full responsibility in every action of his different transcendental pastimes. The 14th quality, knowledge, can be further extended into 5 subheadings, namely intelligence, gratefulness, power of understanding the circumstantial environments of place, object, and time, perfect knowledge of everything, and knowledge of the self. Only fools are ungrateful to their benefactors. The Lord, however, does not require benefit from anyone besides himself because he is full in himself. Still, he feels benefited by the unalloyed services of his devotees. The Lord feels grateful to his devotees for such unsophisticated, unconditional service and tries to reciprocate it by rendering service, although the devotee also has no such desire in his heart. The transcendental service of the Lord is itself a transcendental benefit for the devotee, and therefore the devotee has nothing to expect from the Lord. On the assertion of the Vedic aphorism, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, we can understand that the Lord, by the omnipresent rays of his effulgence, called Brahma Jyoti, is all-pervading inside or outside of everything, like the omnipresent material sky, and thus he is also omniscient. As far as the beauty of the Lord is concerned, he has some special features that distinguish him from all other living beings, and over and above that, he has some special attractive, beautiful features by which he attracts the mind of even Radharani, the supermost beautiful creation of the Lord. He is known, therefore, as Madan Mohan, or one who attracts the mind of even Cupid. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu has scrutinizingly analyzed other transcendental qualities of the Lord and affirms that Lord Sri Krishna is the absolute supreme personality of Godhead, Para Brahman. He is omnipotent by his inconceivable energies, and therefore he is the Yogeshwar, or the supreme master of all mystic powers. Being the Yogeshwar, his eternal form is spiritual, a combination of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. The non-devotee class cannot understand the dynamic nature of his knowledge because they are satisfied to reach up to his eternal form of knowledge. All great souls aspire to be equal in knowledge with him. This means that all other knowledge is ever insufficient flexible, and measurable, whereas the knowledge of the Lord is ever fixed and unfathomable. Srila Sutta Goswami affirms in the Bhagavatam that although he was observed by the citizens of Dwarka every day, they were ever increasingly anxious to see him again and again. Living beings can appreciate the qualities of the Lord as the ultimate goal, but they cannot attain the status quo of such equality. This material world is a product of the Mahat Tattva, which is a state of the Lord's dreaming condition in his Yoga Nidra, mystic slumber in the causal ocean. And yet, the whole creation appears to be a factual presentation of his creation. This means that the Lord's dreaming conditions are also factual manifestations. He can therefore bring everything under his transcendental control, and thus whenever and wherever he does appear, he does so in his fullness. The Lord, being all that is described above, maintains the affairs of the creation, and by his so doing he gives salvation even to his enemies who are killed by him. He is attractive even to the topmost liberated soul, and thus he is worshipable even by Brahma and Shiva, the greatest of all demigods. Even in his incarnation of Purusha Avatar, he is the Lord of the creative energy. The creative material energy is working under his direction, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.10. He is the control switch of the material energy, and to control the material energy in the innumerable universes, he is the root cause of innumerable incarnations in all the universes. There are more than 500,000 incarnations of Manu in only one universe, besides other incarnations in different universes. In the spiritual world, however, beyond the Mahatattva, there is no question of incarnations, but there are plenary expansions of the Lord in different Vaikunthas. The planets in the spiritual sky are at least 3 times the number of those within the innumerable universes in the Mahatattva. And all the Narayana forms of the Lord are but expansions of his Vasudeva feature, and thus he is Vasudev, Narayana, and Krishna simultaneously. He is Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nata Narayana Vasudeva, all in one. His qualities therefore cannot be counted by anyone, however great one may be. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you for your attention. Now I'm going to fire up my notes. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. A marathon, but thank you very much for your attention. So in today's class, I want to visit 2 basic themes. I want to take a brief but humorously painful look at the upcoming qualities in Kali Yuga, and then I wanted to discuss something that I found practical and yet spiritual, and that is how to make Krishna more real, more present in our lives. So we're hearing a potent dialogue, this part of the Bhagavatam, between the earth in the form of a cow and religiosity in the form of a bull. Now imagine the level of devotion in Mother Bhumi that she's able to recite 40 distinct qualities of the Lord without hesitation. And as we'll hear just 2 classes from today, the natural wealth and beauty of the earth once superseded that of the entire universe, because during Krishna's earthly Leela, his lotus footprints were impressed directly on Mother Bhumi, which made the earth, Prabhupada said, as perfect as possible. But now that he's gone, she's feeling intense separation. So Prabhupada points out that Lord Krishna's queens regularly felt separation because Krishna was gone regularly from home. But as long as Lord Krishna was on earth, Mother Bhumi felt his presence continually. There was not a moment of separation. So she went from deep impressions to deep depression, because the all auspiciousness brought by the Lord's presence will now gradually decay into 432,000 years of bestial misery. So in what's called the Bhumi Gita, that's the third chapter of the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami explains something that helped me anyway put Kali Yuga in great perspective. He explains that in Satya Yuga, everyone is in goodness and there's no need for Varnashram Dharma. And then in Treta Yuga, the four social orders become manifest, but most people are Brahmins by nature. However, in Treta Yuga, believe it or not, the mode of passion becomes predominant. In Dwapara Yuga, Brahmins and Kshatriyas predominate, and the mode of ignorance is first introduced. And in Kali Yuga, well, the descriptions in Canto 12, Chapter 3 are so painfully detailed. As I said, it's almost humorous. So, you've been really good about hearing, but I'm going to ask you to exercise your hearing ability just one more minute, because I wanted to, this is a very brief, condensed excerpt from the Bhumi Gita in which we'll hear about the Kali Yuga. Okay. When there is a predominance of cheating, lying, sloth, sleepiness, violence, depression, lamentation, bewilderment, fear, and poverty, that age is Kali, the age of the mode of ignorance. Men will become short-sighted, unfortunate, gluttonous, lustful, and poverty-stricken. The women, becoming unchaste, will freely wander from one man to the next. Cities will be dominated by thieves. Political leaders will virtually consume the citizens, and the so-called priests will be devotees of their bellies and genitals. Women will become much smaller in size, and they will eat too much. They will have more children than they can properly take care of and lose all shyness. Businessmen will engage in petty commerce and earn their money by cheating. People will consider any degraded occupation quite acceptable. Cows will be abandoned or killed when they stop giving milk. In Kali Yuga, men's conception of friendship will be based exclusively on sexual ties. People's minds will always be agitated. They will become emaciated by famine and taxation. They will lack adequate clothing, food, and drink, will be unable to properly rest, have sex, or bathe. In fact, the people of Kali Yuga will gradually appear like ghostly, haunted creatures. Men will no longer protect their elderly parents, their children, or their respectable wives. Thoroughly degraded, they will care only to satisfy their own bellies and genitals. So this chapter 12 of the third canto then crescendos, and it talks about rampant, increasing, and spreading atheism, which we can already see happening today. And then the chapter progresses into this fabulous resolution. There's a word in French, dénouement, in the penultimate verse, which is the famous 12:351. I'm sure many of you know it. And it goes like this. Kale dosha nidhe rajan astiyeko mahan gunaha kirtanare vikrishnasya mukta sangha parang vrajet. My dear king, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. So just like Mother Bhumi was feeling intense separation from the Lord, and she wanted him back. So the Sankirtan movement, as manifested and exemplified by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is meant to re-manifest Lord Krishna on earth, individually and collectively. In fact, everything we do in the Krishna consciousness movement is meant to bring the Lord back, just as our upcoming 43rd annual Ratha Yatra festival is the enactment of bringing Lord Krishna back to Vrindavan. And one way to bring the Lord back is to try to intensify our perception of his constant presence in our lives. Krishna is the supreme reality. He's the cause of all causes, and yet, because we're so covered, he can sometimes seem, I'm going to be honest, a little hypothetical. Now I'm going to get deeper into it. My god sister, Urmila Devi, who's on the Shastric Advisory Council to the GBC, she put it this way. She calls this mindset emotional agnosticism. Until the Lord becomes an emotional reality to us, we sometimes hover on the undecided platform. We may say we have faith in God, but under pressure, our consciousness and our behavior may betray something else. Now, bhakti may be expressed in an external act, such as cleaning the temple. But first and foremost, bhakti means cleansing the heart so that one day we begin to feel overwhelmed by devotion, by love for Krishna. Until that time, we're covered. So one manifestation of this emotional agnosticism, I know that's a very strong term, but I think it's instructive. So one manifestation is anxiety. Just like as we were about to drive over here, I took the house key and stuck it in the ignition. And my wife said, "Are you nervous? Are you anxious?" I said, "Yeah." It's fine too. You have to fine tune. It takes perception. That's not transcendental anxiety. So, for example, as I'm going to say, there are two kinds of anxiety. Prabhupada was anxious about the Mayapur land purchase. He was anxious that Sri Radha Rasi Bihari not be evicted from the land at Juhu. And he was anxious when he sent two sannyasis to East and West Pakistan, and then a civil war broke out. So I'm not talking about that kind of anxiety. I think we all know the difference. Mundane anxiety or lust or anger is a kind of emotional agnosticism. And you could say that about practically any manifestation of the lower modes. If I'm prone to criticizing and fault-finding, that's a huge one. I may wear tilak and neck beads and think of myself as an excellent devotee, but actually that criticizing, that fault-finding is a kind of emotional agnosticism. So let's go on to some happier topics. Here's one suggestion to make the Lord real, so to speak. That's a dare, actually. Are you ready? Okay. Dare to imagine that Krishna is pleased with you. I mean, that's not really so far-fetched. I mean, he's pleased with everyone here at least some of the time, and I know there are devotees here with whom he is pleased all the time. And if that's a leap, then why not ask him to please be pleased with me? When we're chanting japa, we can go into a mode of lamentation. "Oh, I am so fallen, I'm useless, I'm unworthy," and that's okay, it's some kind of connection. But my personal experience is that if I can dare to imagine that Krishna is pleased with me, Krishna becomes clearer. My heart feels deeper satisfaction, and from that platform, there's less room for anger, for envy, and a host of other destructive emotions. Try it out and see if it helps the quality of your chanting. So nowadays, I connect personally most closely with Krishna's presence in my life in 4 distinct ways. This is just personal, and it's now. Completely different for everyone else. So number 1 is through inner realizations. Isn't that exciting when we get an idea that clearly came from Krishna, that we understand the philosophy a little better? Sometimes we also get a sense of, I'm advancing, okay? So I'll talk about that in a moment. So number 2, I feel Krishna's presence through kindnesses he presents in the form of little external improvements in my life. So by Krishna's sweet will, he may kindly improve the material circumstances of his aspiring devotees, even in little ways. And this, when it occurs, it reminds me of him, and I feel grateful. Number 3, I occasionally feel Krishna's presence through difficulties he presents. For example, we have a condominium in Santa Cruz. That's why we're here, only part-time. And Krishna caused it to be flooded twice in 18 months. And when I asked myself why, soon Super Soul sent me a thought, karmic cleansing. So sometimes through difficulties, if I'm really concentrating, I can appreciate Krishna's presence. And finally, I feel Krishna's presence by hearing about the miracles he performs to bring innocent souls back to him. For example, Do you ever think how many hundreds and thousands of mini adjustments Krishna made in our lives so that each and every one of us is chanting Hare Krishna today? Think of when you had your earliest contact with the Maha Mantra or the devotees. Can you picture any ways in which Krishna might have made arrangements so those contacts could occur? For example, one of my best friends in college happened to be friends with someone named Mark Diadolo. And my friend wanted to visit Mark, and he wanted to introduce me to Mark, and I said, why not? So you know where he took me, and you know whom we met? He took me to the ISKCON temple on La Cienega Boulevard, and I met Mark, whose spiritual name was Vishnu John. So Vishnu John spoke to us, and he answered one of my questions in a way I'll never forget. So I said, rather challenging, you say there's no pleasure in this world, but isn't there pleasure in eating? And the way he responded, I'll never forget. I'm such a food addict. He said, yes, but then you have to eat again and again and again and again. So the second example is when I started my second year of college in Berkeley, I spent an entire day traipsing up and down the residential streets near the university looking for a student rental. No internet in those days. And after I was close to exhausted, where did I end up? Well, it was conveniently located just 1 block from the university on Durant Avenue. So there were large Victorian homes in this neighborhood and on this block, and I never knew who lived next door. But one day I remember, as I was heading home, hearing a chorus of beautiful male voices singing out joyfully, Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. And I thought to myself, oh, I would love to be doing that. So these are just a couple of examples, but we can each think of many such examples, I'm sure, all apparent coincidences that help us to approach Krishna. Remembering the help that Krishna rendered us and still renders us will help make him more real. And on to the fourth point. That's why we love hearing stories from book distributors in the field or any preachers in any circumstance, because they're filled with apparent synchronicities or seemingly random events that result in someone hearing about Krishna and becoming attracted to Krishna for the first time. Of course, there's a practical side. We welcome new members because we want to strengthen the mission, and we want people to be relieved from suffering, and we want people to come to God. But beyond that, when we hear stories of the Krishna switch flipping on in the heart of a curious soul, maybe for the first time we're hearing actual manifestations of Mahaprabhu's Leela, his direct pastimes that have never been enacted before in exactly the same way. And that is the most exciting thing ever. So before I talk about a recent realization I was blessed with, I ask you to remember the following. This is on the topic again of how to make Krishna more real, more present in our lives. Please remember that Krishna is our dearmost friend. In one purport in the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada writes that Krishna is always active and never lazy in helping all conditioned souls back to him. And because we're actively trying to return to Krishna, he reciprocates. If we get especially absorbed in kirtan, for example, that's Krishna. If we feel inspired to write, that's Krishna. If our japa is attentive and heartful, that's Krishna. If we're able to do our service, whatever it may be, cleaning the temple, cooking, deity service, whatever it may be, if we're able to do that just a little better, that's Krishna. So not only can we benefit from Krishna's kind reciprocations, we can then reciprocate and remember the intimate and personal spiritual life coaching that Krishna is giving us minute by minute, day by day. So I'll end with the following. We're just about on time. Recently, Krishna inspired me with evidence that he is transcendental to material nature. So His Grace, Vaisheshika Prabhu, came up with the expression, The jiva soul is open to suggestion. Well, why? Because we're influenced by our association. We cannot help it. If I hang out with drunks or addicts, I'll become like them. As a jiva soul, I am open to suggestion. Now, think about Krishna for a moment. In a verse in the Bhagavatam, Krishna is referred to as the self within the self. No one can be in more intimate contact with us than Krishna as the super soul. Krishna is intimately witnessing the drunkards and the pigeons and the warthogs and the cannibals and the jellyfish. He hears their every thought, their every desire, and he's helping them to fulfill those desires. And yet, he's never touched by their polluted mentality. If I hang out with one addict, it may spoil my spiritual progress. But Krishna is hanging out with quadrillions and quintillions of addicts throughout all the material universes. And yet, Pavitram, he's the supreme pure. He's untouched by such association. Can you think of any better proof of Krishna's transcendental nature? I mean, a jet doesn't fly unless there's a pilot. And similarly, the universe doesn't operate unless the supreme operator is alive and well. But if Krishna were open to suggestion like us jiva souls, if he were affected by his intimate witnessing of the actions of the modes of material nature, how could he keep the universal house in order? So the conclusion, Krishna is transcendental to the three modes of material nature in all times, places, and circumstances, even when he's carrying out his supremely sweet, human-like pastimes on earth. So, in the upcoming verses, Mother Bhumi continues speaking about her intense pangs of separation from Lord Krishna when all of a sudden, dun, da, 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 Maharaj Parikshit appears on the scene, and then we progress to chapter 17, the punishment and reward of Kali. Thank you very much for your superior ability to hear. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We ended on time, as I promised. Does anyone have a burning question, which I'm pretty sure I can't answer? Oh, yes, a Prabhu. I will have to get back to you. So Apurva is asking, when Vishnu Jan, I don't think he was a Swami yet, when he said, but you have to eat again and again and again, I mean, it really hit home. But what he was saying is it's temporary. It's not real pleasure because it goes away, and then you have to, refill and refill and refill. Is that clear? Yeah, I'm sorry if it wasn't clear. All right. Oh, okay. Prabhu, go ahead. Right. So Nandakirtan is bringing the question that in the purport, Prabhupada writes that Krishna fought individually for each of the 16,000 wives, and yet in the Krishna book, we read that he got them all at once. I too was bewildered by that, so I can't answer that. I told you, I can't answer any of your questions. There you go. Hari Bol, thank you.